In a land of sunshine where the palm trees sway, there's a special show to brighten up your day. From rockin' festivals to Broadway dreams, tune in with Bonnie G. It's a desert scene. The desert scene with Bonnie G. Meet the stars and feel the beat. From the Coachella Valley is the place to be, for all the culture, fun, and harmony. The desert scene, yeah, with Bonnie G.
Mutual Broadcasting welcomes you to the Desert Scene, featuring conversations with the people who make culture, art, and entertainment happen in the Coachella Valley. From local theater to live music, art exhibits to cinema and beyond. Now here is your host, Bonnie G.
And welcome to the Desert Scene. So happy to have you here today. And very happy to welcome to the show John Mario, who is the music director and conductor of the Coachella Valley Symphony. And they've got some exciting things coming up. Hi, John. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you have the final two concerts of the season are coming up. First one, February 22nd. Tell us a little bit about that and how the theme and how you put it all together.
All right. Well, the first one is a space theme, and I think it's called Close Encounters of a Symphonic Kind. And on that program, we're actually doing the Close Encounters theme. I don't know if anybody remembers any of the music from Close Encounters.
I do.
You know, the big thing everybody remembers again, da, 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 right? That thing, right? But John Williams built this huge score. It's one of his most ambitious scores. It has very modern sounds and things, and it's very evocative. So I'm very excited to be able to bring that to our fans.
How did you come up with that theme? Do you decide that, or is that a committee that gets together and says, what's our theme for this next show?
Actually, our board is very, very good at coming up with these themes, and they coordinate with the city of Rancho Mirage. So the city of Rancho Mirage supports us a lot. We do that with our coordination of the theater people at the amphitheater and the city people. And Dr. Lisa Lindley, our CEO, comes up with these themes, and then we take it to our orchestra committee to fill it up with pieces, and then I curate that list. So that's how it all comes together.
And an event like this, a concert like this, about how long? Do you have a time frame you shoot for as to the length of the concert?
Yes, actually, I do things like I have timings for everything. I try to get about 65 minutes of music. We have no intermission. There was a little bit of speaking in between the pieces. I looked at they did a whole bunch of surveys on why people get put off by orchestra concerts. And, I looked at all those reasons, and basically they're not feeling welcome, not having audience participation. So in between, I would kind of talk to the audience. It's kind of like you're in my living room and we're sharing music. The audience is such a part of a musical production anyway. So it's just great to come to the desert and perform for the people in the desert, because people in the desert have such big hearts when they're sitting in the audience. And, I just feel this mutual kind of exchange of things.
Do you get a lot of suggestions from, and I'm guessing that you have some regulars who come to most of your events, people who really love symphony music. Do you get a lot of suggestions or ideas from them on different things, especially themes or what type of music they'd like to hear the next time?
Actually, I have to say, quite frankly, no, they don't give me suggestions. But, I do go out and talk to people in the audience and get to know people. And, you know people's faces, even if you don't know their names. You see a lot of the same people coming. And, it's always it's a delight to go out and meet people.
So tell us a little bit about your background and where are you from and how did you come to be the conductor of the symphony?
I was born on the East Coast in Providence, Rhode Island. I studied piano first, just as a child. I was a normal kid. I grew up in a blue collar family. Played baseball and hockey and things, and had my teeth knocked out playing hockey, just like normal kid stuff. And I went to college for piano, and my first job out of college was getting hired for an opera company. So I started playing orchestra scores on the piano, and the conductor would conduct me. And, I was very fortunate to fall into certain things. And then my ambitions grew. I went to New York, and I worked in opera. I ended up conducting opera first. And eventually I went on tour with Jackie Vanko. I don't know if she comes to the McCallum.
Yes,
still,
I know her.
Right.
Music, yeah.
So for 3 seasons, they used the big orchestra. So I went around with her and conducted all over the country with almost every orchestra in the country. So at the end of that tour, I decided to relocate to California, and I had done so many conducting jobs here in California. I knew a lot of people, and I ended up out here through my contacts, and I found that everybody was very relaxed when they play. Some of their orchestras on the East Coast are a little more serious, right? But here, everybody was kind of, and they used to look at me when I lived in New York and thought, why don't you live here? Right?
Yeah.
And I thought, why don't I live here? Because it's so much nicer and the weather is so beautiful.
Absolutely. Tell me what makes a good conductor. What are the qualities? Obviously, you have to have musicality and knowledge of music. But besides that, what makes a good conductor?
I think it's the same power dynamic in any sort of organization, big organization, whether it's an army or a CEO of a company, right? Number one, you have to give respect, right? Everybody has respect. They come into the room. And the biggest thing is that you have to inspire your orchestra, right? So your orchestra, you have to create the environment that it's the greatest place to be to make music. And I've seen conductors make this mistake of wishing they had a different orchestra or something. And, the people around you are so special. And the thing about that is every performance is unique because you have only that orchestra one time. The personnel will change, right? Also, the audience changes, right? So there are different people in the audience. So that one performance is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You start looking at it like that.
Like that, yeah.
In every single rehearsal, then magic will happen, right? Then the fireworks will happen.
I love that. I love having it put that way. How many people are in the orchestra? Is there much turnover? Do you have folks that have been there quite a while?
We have people who go back to the beginnings when Mancini was the conductor and Christian was the conductor.
Okay.
So they've been there for many, many, many seasons, and they're actually the pillar of the organization. They're doing a lot of the organizational things, or they're just having them as part of the rehearsal is very, very important. I would say I'm probably off on this number, but we probably have a roster of about 1,000 people who come in and out of the orchestra, because people come also, there are people who live in the desert who play in the orchestra, but there are people who come from about 5 counties to come here. Right.
Wow.
So San Diego, LA, San Bernardino, Riverside, we draw people from there. And it depends on orchestration. It depends on the pieces we do. Sometimes you need different things. For instance, we don't have regular guitarists. We don't have regular saxophonists, but we do big band things. So then we bring in saxophones.
Bring in a saxophone, yeah.
Right. So things like that happens. We probably have a roster of about 1,000 people. On stage, you usually will see between 55 and 70 people, depending on what we did. Last year, we did a Pixar concert with film in the background, and the Pixar orchestrations are insane. They have so many different things in them.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people up on stage. I've never seen so much percussion in my life in one place. It was amazing.
Go back to what you said. You said back when Mancini conducted. Are you speaking of Henry Mancini?
No.
Okay.
The first was Thomas Mancini, then it was Christian Schallafour.
Okay. So let's talk about once you get the theme, how do you go about choosing each individual piece of music that's going to go into that production?
Oh, well, I like to program a program of contrast. So you'll have a big piece with lots of, you start off usually cold opening and you have, something very big and exciting.
Grab them right away.
And
yeah.
then you can bring it down a little bit, so then you want your program to have peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
You can pretty much program anything as long as you put it in the right place, the right thing at the right time.
Mm-hmm. And so let's talk. So that's the first one. And now you have another one coming up in April 25th. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, this is called the Best of Stage and Screen. So that's a wonderful theme because we can draw on everything: ballet, opera, movies, plays,
lots to choose from,
incidental music, television. There's so much being written for television, so many themes. So this is one that we've repeated over the years, has become very popular. So if you come to the amphitheater, they have actually, most of the time when you look at the amphitheater, don't be discouraged because it will be booked. Right? But they are accepting reservations early as a free concert, right? The amphitheater holds about 1,000 people, I believe. And we have big crowds for these concerts. So Reserve early.
The best of stage and screens, and you've repeated this now. Do you? I mean, there's so much material when you're talking about stage and screen. Do you change out which particular pieces of music from year to year when you repeat this one?
It's a completely different program every single year.
Okay.
You know, we've done some crazy things too. We've done the theme from Psycho, Star Wars, you know, you name it. Huge movies. Remember in the 1950s, all those Cecil B. DeMille movies had gigantic scores like Ben-Hur and, you know, Maurice Jarre wrote these incredible scores like to Lawrence of Arabia. It's an amazing score. Casablanca. You know, the thing is, there are all of these things that you just push to the next year because you just can't fit it on the program this year. Right? Yeah. It's absolutely amazing. I'm like a child in a toy store when I'm looking at all of these things to do.
Now, here's a question for you. Do you ever, I know it's the symphony, it's symphonic music. Do you ever in any of these kinds of programs or other programs work with a singer? Do you ever have
Absolutely. A couple of seasons back, we had Diane Shore.
Okay.
So we did jazz concert and our orchestra is also very, very good at swinging, right? So, first thing I think she said, she turns around and said, "Who says orchestras can't swing?" Right?
Yeah.
And we got done with the first number. We had Melissa Manchester, who also transitioned from her pop career into a lot of jazzy things. So she came and we did a concert at the McCallum a couple of years back. We had another thing, the Jersey Boys. So it was the Jersey Boys, sort of, I would say just a group of guys who got together and did all the Frankie Valli tunes and did some other things from that era, like Beach Boys and Beatles and things like that. And a season ago, we had the Moody Blues. So we did a concert with the Moody Blues.
Yeah.
That's pretty eclectic.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you do when you obviously putting these big events together in the symphony? Now, do you have smaller events and concerts in between these big ones every year?
Well, we have a youth orchestra.
Okay,
so there's a youth orchestra. We don't really have events outside of our big concerts. So what the audience sees with our big concerts is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, right? It's hours and hours and hours of practice and study and, going behind and, we need money to do everything, right? So there's a lot of behind the scenes raising of money and dealing with the rehearsals and contracting the orchestra and moving music stands and, you name it. There's a whole bunch of things. The audience just sees like the last 1%.
Right. Now, you mentioned the youth orchestra. Do you also, does the symphony also, I think if I'm not mistaken, have sort of an educational arm as well?
Absolutely. It's part of the community outreach. I really can't give you a lot of information on the youth orchestra because I'm I'm 1 degree separated from that. Okay. But there's a youth orchestra that meets on Mondays and they have several divisions, based on age and experience. And I think it's a very, very good thing because there are a lot of organizations who do outreach. And I mean, I'm not saying it's bad outreach to go and have kids come to the theater and sit and watch a show, but them playing in an orchestra and actually having a chance to experience the music firsthand is what makes not only if they don't go into music, they develop personally. They have skills. They have life skills, right? That helps them succeed. And also they become future concertgoers. If you ask anybody in our audience why you're here today, they'll say something like, I was in a school play. I was in my band, right? Very few of those people have not had musical experience.
Yeah.
So then they become concert goers or they become our board members. They may be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, some sort of professional. And they end up contributing to the arts in their community.
Yeah. That's excellent. All right, so let's recap. So coming up, the final 2 concerts of the season for the Coachella Valley Symphony, a Symphonic Odyssey, Saturday, February 22nd, 5:30 p.m. at the Rancho Mirage Amphitheater. And then in April 25th, Friday, 7:30, Best of Stage and Screen. That's at the McCallum Theater. So for tickets, is it www.cvsymphony.com? Is that where they would get tickets?
Yes, or cvsymphony.com is probably the easiest thing. There's an event page. It's the second tab on the top. It says events and it'll say upcoming concerts and there's an order. They're both free. So all you have to do is reserve. Even the one at the McCallum.
Excellent.
I mean, if you haven't been to the McCallum, it is the perfect place to listen
Check
to
it out.
orchestra. It's one of the most acoustically perfect places to listen to orchestra.
And also, if you want more information on ways to support the symphony, you can either go to that website or call 760-360-2222. Well, John Mario, thank you so much. A music director and conductor of the Coachella Valley Symphony. They got some great things coming up. Thank you so much for bringing this great music to the Valley and for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll see you the rest of you next time on The Desert Scene.
The Desert Scene with Bonnie G. Meet the stars and feel the beat. From the Coachella Valley, it's the place to be. For all the culture, fun, and harmony. The Desert Scene, yeah, with Bonnie G. The Desert Scene's where you belong with Mutual Broadcasting's Bonnie G. Just sing along. Just sing along.